So we've talked for Civil War, we've talked for Infinity War before, and each time we've kind of talked about how you've expanded the splash page with action sequences. Wondering in Endgame, did you guys go even bigger on the fold out?
Here's the thing, you cannot chase bigger with movies. All you can do is chase storytelling. And so, Endgame is just us committing to storytelling on the highest level. And, we poured our heart and soul into this one, and, we'll see how audiences respond to it.
I can't wait to see it. One quick question. I saw people talking about this on Twitter. Why do you think they're called Infinity Stones and not Infinity Gems in the movie?
I don't know. I think it's just a vernacular thing. It's
I think that
refers to them as the stones first. Who brings up
it's a good question. I have to think about how. I can't remember the
They're
exact moment where you made
elemental
that
stones
choice.
is what they are.
Yeah. There's one theory, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I think you have based on your Instagram profile picture. Ant-Man shrinks down and kills Thanos from the inside.
He does. Wait, what does he do to him?
Was that at least one of the 14 million visions that Doctor Strange had? Did they try that, do you think?
Listen, there's the thing. Thanos is incredibly strong.
I don't know.
His skin is almost impervious. The question would be, what would happen to Ant-Man if he did that? Would it work or would it not work? If it didn't work, it would be really bad.
I don't know if even Doctor Strange may not have gotten to that version.
When we talked before Infinity War, I asked you which characters you were most excited for. It was Star-Lord and Thor is what you told me. Interestingly enough, they seem to have made the two biggest mistakes. But can you say which characters you're most excited for?
Unfortunately, we cannot.
Because you would have been revealing who's going to screw up this time.
Right.
One of my favorite things, I'm a big Iron Man fan. And I think since you guys have taken over the Iron Man character through 3 films now, or 2 that I've seen, his arc has seemed to really center around his family. So I'm curious, just your perspective on what you're doing with Iron Man's journey going into Endgame and what we can maybe expect from his character.
Well, all heroes are made complicated by the circumstances in their life, right? Like Captain America and Winter Soldier in the Civil War is, the essential nature of his conflict is, he was created by his country, and what happens when he stops trusting his country. And he's gone from a patriot to an insurgent. That's as full of an arc as you could possibly give a character. Tony is essentially an egoist. And what is the essential conflict for an egoist? Is it about what the egoist wants, or is it about subjugating the ego to what others may want from them? And family is really the most essential way to get to that conflict with Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always looking for the most epic journey we can take the characters on, and often that means, whether it's Cap or Tony, taking them as far away from where they started as possible.
I love it. Now, another character we're obviously looking forward to seeing interact with everybody is Captain Marvel. We've seen her movie now, finally, so I'm curious if you can just kind of at all describe your version of her as she might compare to the previous version we just saw. I mean, it's been over 20 years for her.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get any of the specific details on that, Yeah. I will say that we shot her scenes prior to that movie actually shooting, so.
Right.
Which was the same situation we had when we introduced Black Panther in Civil War or Spider-Man in Civil War.
Yeah. This one comes from Twitter. This is a follower of mine called Brandon Moore. He wants to know, and I think this is a good question, did you have any challenges fitting anything? Like, what were some of the biggest challenges of fitting everything into just 3 hours? How did you guys make sure you told a full story in a time that people can go to the movies and watch it?
Yeah,
I mean, that was very much worked out on the script level with Marcus and McFeely. Okay. We spent a long time with them exploring all the possibilities and honing down on what the essential storytelling was. So that's such a complex question. You can't really be dealing with that once you get to production. That's definitely a script issue.
Yeah, focus and discipline is what it comes down to. We like to keep the stories propulsive, so it was painful for us to come in at 3 hours, but we just couldn't get the story down from that.
Did you ever consider the intermission rumors? Was that ever true? Was that ever considered?
We joked about. We would joke about that.
Yeah, we discussed
all the
it in jest.
We may have even
we love
put our own intermission into it for when we would screen it and give ourselves 5 minutes to go to the bathroom.
So
we're telling everybody to prep as if like they're going into surgery. Don't have any water or anything to drink post midnight the day before you see the film, and you'll be fine.
Obviously, there is a lot of chatter, a lot of different things like that intermission, for example, but also the theories online. Has it like, is it even possible for someone to come up with the correct theory? Do you think somebody could predict how this movie goes?
I don't think so, because the interesting thing is, now look at, certainly the amazing thing is like how many people out there are paying very close attention to these characters, understand these characters on a very deep level, and have imaginations that are really active and surprising in terms of where they can take these characters. That's all amazing, and sometimes stuff is wildly, like, look, we spend months and months and months thinking about all the possibilities, and so there are a lot of ideas that we run down that are nothing like what the movie ends up being. So it's just part of the process. There's so many different places you can go with a narrative that sometimes some of them get somewhat close, but nothing is ever exactly what the movie is, just because there's a level of detail in the movie that goes way beyond, most theories you read online, you can read, they like take 3 or 4 sentences to convey.
Right.
The movie is a very dense document.
Can you say which, maybe like even just 3 movies would probably be the most beneficial for people to rewatch before?
3?
Three, I think 2 is probably Civil War and Infinity War without question, right? Because I think the events of Civil War directly affected Infinity War, and we would argue that the reason that they lost to Thanos is because of Civil War. And then clearly that carries over to Endgame. If you're going to add one more in there, I'd probably say Winter Soldier, only in that those are the 4 movies we directed, and they're all thematically connected to one another.
Sure.
And just from our point of view, is in the storytelling, that's sort of the thread we're working with.
That makes sense. Now I have another question about the characters in this film. One character people want to see is Stan Lee. I understand he shot many cameos before his passing. I'm curious, how did you guys approach that, and like, did you guys get to?
This was his final cameo that was committed to film. So, and it was always. I mean, again, I grew up as a Marvel fanatic and watching the Spider-Man cartoon show as a kid with his voice in it, and and I think anything that affects you as a child really affects you as an adult. It sticks with you. So when he would come on set and we'd hear his voice, it's sort of Pavlovian in a way where, you just become a child again. And the whole crew would be like that. I mean, people were always, all of these movie stars on set every day, and then Stan would show up, and it was just like people were kids all over again.
Yeah, and then my last question for you, with the deal that has just gotten accomplished, I know you said you have interest in Wolverine, not something you're working on. Would it have been logistically possible after the Fox and Disney deal was done to shoot something for this movie with those characters?
It would not have been. That deal didn't actually officially close until like a week and a half ago, so it would not have been logistically possible.
Don't rush it.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll get there.
We'll get to Secret Wars one day.
I can't wait.